Welcome back to the warm-up, everybody. I'm your host, Ja. Joining us today is also Ben, your other co-host. Before we get into it, please like, subscribe, comment, turn on the notifications, all that good stuff. Also, subscribe and follow our socials on Instagram and Twitter as well. And then today we are continuing our series on the season outlooks of the season, and we are starting with Houston Rockets today. Houston had a hell of an offseason. They acquired the big one, Kevin Durant, while also attaining Dorian Finney-Smith from the Los Angeles Lakers, as well as a bunch of key little pieces as well. So, yeah, let's get into it.
All right, we can go and get started by looking at their full roster. See what they've got going here. Houston's a very interesting team. I'm excited to see what we have going forward. So when we're looking at this, obviously, your big piece is Kevin Durant, who you get in the offseason. You also have Alfred Şengün, Fred VanVleet, who unfortunately tore his ACL just a few weeks ago. It's a big loss for Houston. Getting Dorian Finney-Smith on that contract was a massive addition for them, especially on the defensive end, and he can knock down that corner three as well. Growing guys in Jabari Smith and Reed Shepherd, and obviously your rising star, Amen Thompson. You also brought in Clint Capella as another center that you can add to your rotation along with Adams and Şengün. I also really like Tari Eason. He is one of those go-getter guys that can really give you everything on the defensive end and add a little bit of spice on offense. Then to round out the end of the bench, you got Jeff Green, Aaron Holiday, Josh Okogie. Very interesting team for Houston. I think obviously the biggest storyline with this team is going to be the Fred VanVleet injury. What is that going to look like for them in the future? Who are they going to run at the guard? You have options. You're not really limited here. I do think Reed Shepherd's going to get a lot of run. You also have the opportunity to bring in somebody. If you wanted to bring in maybe a Russell Westbrook, I think that's a perfect plug and play fit. You can try a couple different lineup combinations to try and see what you get. But the biggest thing for Kevin Durant is he said this in the past. He wants to play with a good point guard, and he really hasn't gotten the opportunity to do that in his career outside of Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn, and then obviously Steph in Golden State, and then of course Westbrook. But past that, like he's wanted to play with a guard in Phoenix, and obviously Kyrie wasn't always available. So he feels like he's best when he has that key point guard. So that's going to be the storyline I'm watching for with the Rockets this season. What else stands out to you, Ja?
I mean, for me, I start with Kevin Durant. I mean, Kevin Durant hasn't been on this youthful type of team probably since his days in Golden State and OKC. You're surrounding one of the world's best scorers, with a bunch of athleticism and playmaking. I think that's going to go a long way. I think players like Amen Thompson, I think they're just prone to have a breakout year 3. I mean, we talk about Wembanyama having the breakout year. Why not Amen Thompson as well? We saw flashes of it last year. I'm really high on him, especially with VanVleet being out. He came in as a guard. I think him having the ball more in his hands isn't a bad thing. I think it's probably a good thing for your future. Obviously, with the injury of Fred VanVleet, it tempers your expectations for like a championship ceiling. But other than that, I think Şengün, how he played in Eurobasket, so it's going to carry over. And yeah, I'm very excited about the look of the Houston Rockets right now. I think at worst, Reed Shepherd starts and he becomes your 3-and-D player. He can at least knock down open 3, because if you're going to start Jabari Smith and Şengün and Adams, I mean, you're going to need more shooting with Amen Thompson as well. But I think Amen could also help Reed on the defensive end. So I'm very excited about Houston. That Utah preseason game they had the other night was very, very intriguing. I know it was against Utah Jazz and all that, but it was a really, really good look.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, like you said, of course, Amen Thompson is your guy. I think he is poised to continue to break out. One of the things that people said the instant the Thompson guys came into the league was like, these guys are not like the rest of us. Both of them are going to have incredible careers, but obviously Amen has shown flashes of incredible potential with this team. I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table. And then obviously you have Kevin Durant coming in, and he's still Kevin Durant. There's just no doubt about that. And I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table. One of my biggest things with Kevin Durant has always been, the super team chasing. I feel like he's part of like Golden State. He tried to build something big in Brooklyn, and then they obviously tried to assemble something in Phoenix, which fell apart. But looking at them now, I'm saying to myself, this is a different situation for Kevin Durant. He's playing with a lot of guys, like you said, that are, very young, and now they have playoff experience. So now you're using that young playoff experience with Kevin Durant, who's the ultimate playoff performer. So I think it's a recipe that could really work, especially in a Western Conference that's feeding off of youth success. I mean, you look at OKC last year with the success they had with their youth, and now you're bringing in a guy like Kevin Durant. It's going to be really special to watch. I do think on the defensive end, there's a lot of potential. You obviously have Şengün manning the paint. Kevin Durant can still guard really well. Amen Thompson is growing into a terrific defender. Tari Eason off the bench. Like we said, still potential at the point guard position. I mean, I'm going to go back to the Westbrook thing. If you bring Westbrook in, your defense is anchored. I mean, assuming he starts or even comes off the bench, like, boy, oh boy, the lineups you can put out with defense would be incredible. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. As far as the Western Conference, where do you see them finishing? What do the standings look like in your mind?
Yeah, so I mean, for sure, before the Fred VanVleet injury, I definitely had them in the tier with the Denvers and the OKCs, that 1 and 2 range. But for a regular season team with this much depth and then adding a superstar like Kevin Durant, I don't see why. I think they're a top 6 team in the West. Depending on health, I think Şengün takes that extra step. He's a willing passer. You put him on the same side as Kevin Durant instead of Dylan Brooks. I mean, it's only going to space up the floor for him. I really like what they're doing over there in Houston. Like I said, top 6 team in the West at worst. I just think this team is such a regular season team at the lightest. They fly on defense. They're young. And KD, I mean, like you kind of hinted at it, they have a lot of depth. Like, KD doesn't need to go out and get 30 every night. Now, come playoff time, he might need to. But on a night-to-night basis, if he gets his 25, 28, they're just going to be perfectly fine. They got enough defensive versatility on the other end to hold teams to, about 110 points. So what about you? What do you think?
So this feels like the perfect team to rack up regular season wins. I think this is one of those teams like, those Utah Jazz teams of the past, or like one of those Memphis teams that was like a 2 seed, or like literally last year, Houston racked up a lot of regular season wins. And the reason they did that was their youth was playing well. They were playing great defense. They had a lot of potential. The thing that people are missing is like, you've added Kevin Durant, you've added Dorian Finney-Smith, and you also added Clint Capella, who's no scrub either. So when you have him coming off the bench, that's going to be incredible. So you have basically taken last year's lineup minus Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. You plug in Kevin Durant off of that trade. There's a lot of potential here. I think that all Houston fans know that Jalen Green's days were numbered. Especially during the playoffs, he wasn't really showing up against Golden State. So obviously, when you trade for a guy like Kevin Durant, you really don't care that much. And then obviously, I mean, Dylan Brooks is a good defender, but I just don't think he was going to be a piece to a championship run for this team. Yeah. So I feel like you really plugged in some role players. Like the Dorian Finney-Smith pickup is what stood out to me the most, because I remember on our live stream this summer, I saw that deal go through, and I was like, oh, like this is the perfect like 3-and-D wing guy that they need, that's going to make those crucial plays when they need them. Yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see what the lineup looks like. I'm assuming it's probably going to be something along the lines of like a Reed, Amen, Kevin Durant, Şengün, and possibly either a Jabari Smith or a Dodo, Dorian Finney-Smith. We'll see, but I think this team is probably going to finish really high. I would probably, before the Van Vliet injury, I thought potentially over OKC, probably like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4. They could still get up to 2. We'll kind of have to just see what happens and play along with it. But a lot of potential for this Houston team. I'm excited to see what they do down there.
Yeah, and then I mean we always talk about it. It's a loaded Western Conference. And the loaded West last year they're the 2 seed, and they had Kevin Durant. So I mean I feel like the sky's the limit. With as long as Katie's healthy, Şengün's healthy, and they don't have any more injuries, they should be fine. I think Amen is probably going to make an all-star team, if not be most improved player of the year. That'd be my vote. And I think in preseason he was shooting threes and kind of hitting them. So if he could hit them at just a league average clip, like let's say 35%, Lord have mercy. It's gonna be over with, because I think personally he's probably the most versatile defender in the league right now, and then he's in a top 0.5% of athleticism we've ever seen. Him and his brother. So I love what Houston's doing, what they're building. Like you touched on it, they have Tari Eason, who I think you could run some small ball with Katie even at the 5 sometimes.
Yeah,
and just run a crazy defensive lineup with Katie at your center, depending on who you're running against. I think
that play right there, goodness gracious.
Yeah. That's, I mean, look at that athleticism. Like,
I know, and Tari like diving on the floor to get the ball and then just go straight to Amen. The athleticism.
Well, a lot of people like Dylan Brooks did set like a culture change there, but I think Tari Eason kind of embodies what Houston is gonna try to continue to do. So I don't think that it hurts them as much as people think. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun team to watch. It's a loaded West, but on a night-to-night basis, this is probably one of the best teams to watch on League Pass for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that's our season outlook of the warm-up, everybody. Please make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, follow our new socials on Instagram and Twitter, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace and stay safe.